carried me to streets of gold. Things aren't always as they seem. Looking back on all the chances that I missed, some I held, some slipped away. One street over where my memories exist, I wondered what would change, I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I have today. Except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today.
Oh, good morning. This is 1100 WSGI, and we just got to get to it because we got a lot to do today. This is One Street Over. I'm U-Turn Laverne. That's the Rich Talk Ramblers, and Judge Joel Perry is in the house. He's like, they're going to be at my thing Tuesday night. And anyway, the Rich Talk Ramblers, and I said we weren't going to talk about that, and here I go. Went down a rabbit hole for a second. Rich Talk Ramblers are my buddies, and they're of course, that's their song, One Street Over, that we use for the show, and it's just such an appropriate song. And the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival, third weekend in May. And I guess, there's a thing Tuesday that you can look up and see where you can go see them. But I'll just leave it at that. But here we are. We're talking recovery court. And my friends are in the house. I've got Althea, I've got Megan, I've got Judge Perry. And we've got the graduation tomorrow. I'm going to be there. I'm so excited. Everything's happening, though, tomorrow. And we will talk about that. Ryan Martin will be in here at 7:30, but we're just going to turn it over to them. How excited are you guys? Which number of graduation is this? How many is this? Which one of you wants the mic? We're going to have to share one mic and kind of pass it back and forth. How do you want to do? Megan's kind of going, I'll talk, but which mic do I go to?
I think are we at 14?
Talk right on the microphone.
I think it's 14 or 15.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Yes. Yeah.
It's so exciting.
It is.
So how long has recovery court been in existence?
In Robertson County, it's been here since 2014.
Okay.
We started the training prior to me taking office in 2014. We were able to go up to Johnson City. There were several courts that were starting around the same time, so a bunch of us went up, everybody on the team. Judge Glover went up, and we got our training. We started working on our policies and procedures around that time, but our first docket was in the fall of 2014. And for the most part, it takes between 12 and 15 months, sometimes a little longer, to graduate. So our first graduation, I believe, if I remember right, was spring of 2016. Does that sound right? You weren't here at the time.
No, but I've got all my dockets.
Yeah,
I think that sounds right. It was either then or maybe a little bit earlier than that, but it would have been a year after it kind of originates, because that's how long it takes somebody to go through. So
absolutely,
at minimum.
And I had a woman I was working with Celebrate Recovery, and actually I'm still working with, and she's actually seeking. That's something I need to talk to you about, because it's not in your county. I was like, man, I wish you were in Robertson County. It'd be so much easier. I know the judge. But this is in another county, and she had a couple things, and she goes, I want recovery court because I want the accountability. She's having so much trouble with her addiction, and she's like, man, I just want that accountability. So she's seeking it. People who are caught in this, they get that they need accountability. And Mike Ellis, he's just like big old cheerleader. He's already on here this morning. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike. so funny.
There are 82 different recovery courts in the state of Tennessee.
Wow.
There are some specialty courts like separate veterans courts,
Right.
separate DUI courts, mental health courts. In Robertson County, because we're not big enough to have all those separate courts, we have within our recovery court different tracks.
Okay.
So we have a opioid and drug addiction track. We have an alcohol addiction track. We have an MAT, or medically assisted treatment track. And then, of course,
Which would be the mental illness side of it?
No, that would be
it,
for
or
someone
no?
that's getting medical treatment like Vivitrol, to help
okay.
control
Yeah.
cravings. And then we have our veterans track, for folks that veterans that that have their issues, and oftentimes those are special issues like PTSD, and we have access to VA. The VA in Tennessee has separate employees that are specialists for veterans courts. And so we have access to them, and they can sort of speed things up for us sometimes. And we have a veterans mentor that helps with our veterans.
Buzzard, give him a shout out.
Yeah. Buzzer does a great job.
Yes, he goes. I run into him. He goes, "Hey, Laverne, it's me, Buzzard." And I'm there like, "Hey, Buzzard, what's up?" He's so funny. He's awesome.
Such a support to not
Yeah, he
only
is.
our veterans but all of our folks. He just
Yeah.
loves to come and support our folks. So
Yeah.
he's great. I wanted to kind of hit on I think there's kind of understanding. A track is not the same thing as a court, but within our overall court, we have these different tracks which allow us to serve these different individuals who have different special needs and special cases going on. So that's kind of how that works, and why we had the breakdown of the tracks, just to make sure those individuals are served in the way they need to be served.
Absolutely. So, and here's, let me just kind of mention this. Anytime y'all need to come in, if there's something special that y'all need, you don't have to wait until graduation to come in.
Okay.
That's kind of the routine we've gotten in. You can come in anytime.
Awesome.
So just let me know. Say, hey, we need to come on and just talk about something. Maybe there's something just specific. Maybe you've got an opening, and people, I don't know. I guess everybody kind of knows that go through the path. But so what do we need to talk about today? What do we need to make people aware of? Because we've only got a half hour. So
Yes.
what do we need to talk about?
The big thing is graduation.
Yes.
We definitely want everyone in the community to know that we have graduation coming up tomorrow at the center in Springfield. It starts at noon. We will be serving lunch. We have 8 participants that have worked their butts off to get here, and we're so excited to celebrate them. Ace, I'm going to get her last name wrong.
Timmermeyer.
Timmermeyer is our guest speaker. So she'll be talking about how Recovery Court fits into and serves the community. And we're psyched. I'm psyched to see all of these folks. Graduations are one of the most rewarding parts of this job. Our jobs are not easy. We deal with a population of people that can be difficult. I'm in recovery. I was very difficult. So I speak from experience, and I can see things from that side. So we just want to cheer and cheer and cheer people on when they're really doing this, and they're really getting the recovery and getting their lives on track. So yeah, we hope to see everyone out there.
Yes.
I'm excited because I think I went to my first, this would probably be my 4th one, I think. I can't remember. But it's just, it is something that I just don't want to miss. And I guess there's things that can happen in my life. But I'm going to try to always keep that a priority on my schedule, because it's just such a breathtaking difference that it makes. And it's so inspiring. And it's one of those things, too, that I cannot say enough about how that the memorial part of it brings the attention that we have to be shining on the problem, because it just hit me so powerfully last time, looking at those faces of those that we lost to this. It's people I know. I mean, and not literally, but it looked like grandparents and husbands and wives and everybody, kids that you would think there's no type. It's everybody that has been touched by this. And so you will see your neighbors that have been lost, and it's just breathtaking, and it shines a light on the truth of it.
I think that's a really important piece for people to understand, because we're breaking down the stigma behind substance use disorder. But for the longest time, I mean, parents and grandparents have thought like, oh, that's a certain population, but I mean, it affects everyone. So I think this is a really good time for people to come out and see, like, oh, that could be my kid, or that could be my dad, or that could be anybody. So that's a really important piece to highlight on and come be a part of it and see and kind of see how people change. It's also really important for our people who are still in our program, because they get inspired. They get inspired to keep going. When it gets hard, they're like, oh, that's where I'm trying to get to. Look at this person. They did it through all of these things they struggle with. So it's kind of good for everybody. So
I love that you mentioned that you're having lunch, because I think it's Southern Gals and Southern. Yeah,
Yes.
I had her in here the other day, and oh, what adorable story! I
Yes.
just love them, and so
Yeah.
that's going to be fun. Going to
Yeah.
be some good food. She put the soul back in food. I think that's what she was telling me. I can't remember, but they just do. I mean, so that's going to be a treat if you want to come out and check them out, because
Yes.
their story's just fabulous.
Absolutely.
So that'll be a treat. So.
Yes.
Tomorrow at noon, we want you to come and be a part of the Recovery Court graduation. Please be there. It is just such an honor to come and watch that and just see those awe-inspiring stories. And I was so excited to hear Ace is going to be your speaker.
Yes.
So that's always fun too. So what else? What else we need to cover on this?
One thing that we don't talk about a lot, that maybe we should, Recovery Court not only saves lives and restores families, but it also saves taxpayer money. For every dollar that is spent in Recovery Court, it saves over $3 in actual court and jail expenses.
Okay.
And there have been studies that show that for every dollar spent, it can save up to $27 in overall benefit to a county or a city, between medical cost and victimization costs, that type of thing. We had 2 years ago, we had two ladies that graduated in the fall of graduation. Both of those ladies had babies born while they were in Recovery Court.
Wow.
Those babies were born drug and alcohol free. They weren't addicted. The average cost of a child or a baby born that's addicted is $70,000. So that $140,000 that was saved just on medical expenses is more than we spend a year in running the program. And those babies have a chance, not fetal alcohol syndrome, not all those other issues that affect children. And that's something that's incalculable. So we try to we're very cognizant of the money that we spend, because we know it's taxpayers' money, and we make a good good effort to save money. Now I'm going to brag on these ladies for a second.
I was going to brag on us too. Thanks.
We just went through, because our program is run on basically from three piles of money. There's a state grant from the State Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse.
Judge, can we hit on where that grant comes from? Because I don't know that everybody knows that.
Sure.
So every case that comes into a court setting throughout the state pays an assessment fee if it's bundled into their fines, and that goes into the Drug Court Act of 2003 was passed, and that goes into that fund, and then that fund is dispersed to the drug courts that are established. So if a county doesn't have a drug court, they have to send their money off, and it goes into and it's dispersed out. So we have that. So that's where part of that money that we have for our program from the grant comes from. So.
Okay. Well, very good. And it just should be the incentive for these other counties to get going.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because
It's
for
available.
years, recovery courts have been around for a long time. The first farthest one back I've seen was in New York in 1974. There was the first real recovery court was 1989 in Miami. Davidson County started theirs in 1995. And so we were, other counties around us had started recovery courts before we did. So the money that was coming in to Robertson County for drug fines was going out. Now we have money from other counties coming in. But the bragging part I wanted to do is that we just went through our
Audit?
audit. That's
Yes.
the word I was looking
Yes.
for. Actually, there was two
Well,
audits.
because I saw it on the flyer.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Just went through two
this what we're
audits,
talking about?
passed with flying colors, and based upon that, the state awarded us additional $25,000 grant
Nice.
to allow us to expand services. They can talk about the different types of services that we've gotten, but because of the way Megan and Althea run the program, and they need a shout out for that.
Way to go,
Thanks,
guys. Way to go. I'm so proud of y'all.
Thanks.
And I'm not surprised because I've gotten to know these ladies, and they are no joke, man.
Thank
I'm
you.
telling you, they take it seriously. And so, okay, so I'll talk about some of these programs that you have that are available.
Yeah, so we did want to let everybody know. So and Althea and I can kind of tag team this, but so as everyone knows, COVID had a huge impact on all areas of the world, and in recovery courts in particular. For the longest time, drug screening was shut down. Like we weren't able to test, and we kind of finagled around that and made it work. And so, in line with best practices, we shut down the venues that we were using here weren't able to test, and so we partnered with AverHealth in Nashville, and so they allow us to. It operates under best practices, which is how drug courts are supposed to operate. And so our folks go down there. And so what we have done is with that additional money that they're giving us, we're working to get 2 people in part-time to do drug testing here back in the county. So that's going to be a huge thing for our program and the folks who are local. Not everybody in the program is local. Some of them have to live off for a little while in transitional housing or go to treatment. So, but the ones who are here and are living here now, they're going to be able to test here. So that's a huge thing that we're really excited about.
Oh, that's enormous because I can't begin to tell you how many people I talk to. I got to get to so and so, and I got to go here because I got to get tested, and it's like, and it's a chore. It's a really big struggle for them because they're trying to work, they're trying to do this, and it adds a stress to them that can be a trigger that can get them into an issue. Just that stress over trying to get a test can be a trigger to the addiction.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's just CR has taught me so much, and knowing, honestly, meeting you guys and knowing what y'all do probably gave me the desire to get to understand it through Celebrate Recovery, because I deal with so much with homeless community and working in benevolence and things like that. And so I just love how God just kind of has all laid all this out. And it's such an amazing program. And this is, boy, you want the rubber to meet the road and be Jesus to somebody. Get involved in this stuff because, man, you can change lives that will blow your mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's life-changing. It's incredible. Althea, it looks like she's got something.
I do. Thank you. Just to add that in addition to the problems that we had with drug testing, there were other counties that drug testing completely shut down. So drug testing is a really important part of our program. It provides a deterrent. So if someone is able to have some, foresight into what they're doing, and they know they're going to have a drug test coming up, they're a lot less likely to, relapse or use. And it also gives us an early intervention. So it's a big problem if we're not able to do that. And there were lots of counties that have drug courts during COVID that were not able to drug test for a period of time at all. So we're really lucky actually that we were able to partner with AverHealth to do that so that we could continue giving our clients the best chance that they could possibly have. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that when we were awarded the additional $25,000 and we were talking with the state about what we would use that for and mentioned bringing drug testing back into our county, they had mentioned a lot of other counties are doing that as well. So this is something that we are facing shoulder to shoulder with other drug courts, where we're kind of all trying to constantly remove barriers for people to make things easier for them where we can. There are certain benchmarks they're going to have to meet. We can't help the minimum drug testing requirements. Those are prescribed by best practices. We know that that's annoying, but it's such an important part of what the program is and how it works and why it's effective. But as far as, not having them have to travel all the way to Nashville, we are totally on board with doing that. And it's been on our mind and something we've been working towards. It's just been a matter of how are we going to get the pieces to fit together. And on that note, if anyone listening knows anyone that is looking for a part-time job, we are going to be hiring. It'll be 15 hours per week. We need one male and one female. We can talk more about that. We're going to be making some postings on social media, and I'm not sure what other routes we'll be doing to issue that, but we are going to be taking applications for those positions so that we can get this drug testing up and going.
So what would be the qualifications for somebody to apply for this job? Do you know?
I have brainstormed a little bit with Megan. So it would be an entry-level position. Minimum age would have to be 18 years old, preferably somebody that is detail-oriented, that has an understanding of confidentiality or is able to, apply that, because that's going to be really important. They will have to have, reasonably good bedside manner, because it's an interesting job to have. You're observing someone giving a urine sample.
Right.
So we want to make sure that our clients are treated with respect and dignity through that process. There's a very particular prescribed procedure and protocol, so it would be someone that would have to be able to do that repetitively over and over while keeping to that protocol. So as far as job experience goes, if someone were to have some experience in the medical industry or training in that area or lab, that would be great, but it's not required. So that's kind of what we'd be looking for.
Okay, because I kind of assumed it would have to be somebody that's got some medical background, but not necessarily. Just somebody that's got some compassion, that wants to just help people.
Yeah.
I mean, yes. Absolutely.
And can
Absolutely.
follow instructions.
Can follow instructions, she said.
Yes.
So anyway.
And I think Althea kind of hit on it. I don't think people realize, like, there's something to, I mean, it's an awesome position to be able to do this and bring this here and help folks, but you're going to need to be willing to kind of do some dirty work, because that is kind of it's a dirty job. It's not the most fun, but it's necessary. So just somebody who would be willing to kind of step into that and help. And it'd be some computer stuff too, because we have to enter a lot of stuff for the AverHealth system. So
is there some flexibility on the hours?
yes, it will be flexible, because drug testing is random. And so that's something we would talk. So it's going to need to be somebody who's probably got some freedom in their schedule. So, and we'll list all that. We know that's kind of a difficult thing to work around, but that's, for best practices, we can't do just like set days. It's got to be randomized. So,
well, and it seems like it's somebody that maybe is a nursing student. This might be something perfect for them to be a little supplemental income while they're in school, possibly.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, I mean, that might really work out. Go.
So on that note, I'd also like to add, as far as a benefit to somebody getting this training, is it would give them exposure for someone that's looking to get into the medical industry, into lab testing, into recovery courts, into the judicial system. They would have the opportunity to build relationships with Megan and I and our team, and have an understanding of how this part of the judicial system works, and build some, relationships there. So I think for the right candidate, it could be something, even though it's a small number of hours a week and it's entry level, it could be a door opener into other areas.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So very good. So they're hiring, guys. Let's go. So what else are we missing, guys? I know I saw Ryan step in, but you have still got about 8 minutes. We're going to hold our spots off until the bottom of the hour, and we'll just make Ryan, we'll have to interrupt him with the commercials. So what else you got, guys?
Well, one of the things that they mentioned was what we went through COVID. A lot of people don't understand that during COVID, the state Supreme Court set out rules and put out an order as to how courts could be operated. For a while, we couldn't have in-person court, so things had to be moved. We could only do jail dockets. So we had to get inventive as to how we operated recovery court. We did a lot of Zoom court for a while.
I think with some
parking lot.
Parking lots. I was going to say
we call that drive-through court.
It was really
after doing
recovery court graduation, we saw video.
Yeah,
it was great.
And so you have to get inventive, because you need to see these people, every couple of weeks, for the whole part about being what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, that's
being
best,
accountable.
yeah, and that's best practices is that we see our folks every 2 weeks. And a lot of programs, I think it's worth noting for us too. Sadly, there was a lot of programs that because of the shutdown, I mean, they lost people, and we were so fortunate and so blessed that we figured things out. We got Judge to learn how to do Zoom, and that was so fun. But he learned. But I mean, he was on there talking to our folks too every 2 weeks, and that's I want to hit on that too because we pulled some best practice. Information and data. So part of best practices says that without supervision and accountability from a judge, 70% of people drop out of treatment prematurely. And that's a big thing for us because our whole team is there for staffing every 2 weeks, and we see our folks, they meet with him. They typically meet with him. It's about 3 minutes, which is what best practices say to do, where they just kind of catch up and he talks to them about how lives are going, how jobs are going. And then of course, sometimes there's things we have to address. There might be missed meetings or maybe there's a drug screen issue. So we kind of look at all of it, but they have that time, and that's what keeps people holding on. So that's a big piece of what we do.
That's the accountability
Yes.
that they want. They're seeking it. They want it. Yep.
And on that note, one of the other things that best practices talks about is how important it is for them to get there's all this stuff in best practices. It's super cool. It might be dry reading for y'all if you're not really into drug court, but you can Google it and find information. And there's tons of statistics and studies they've done to find out what's effective and what's not. And one of the things that they say is receiving encouragement and affirmation from the judge is one of the things that the relationship with the judge is one of the most effective determining factors of whether someone sticks with it, and that's reported from people that have graduated from recovery courts. And in addition, the time the judge spends with them, feeling like they can trust the judge giving them a chance to speak their truth and say their side of the facts of what has happened before he or she makes a determination. And so these things are all really important. It's important that we're really lucky that we've got Judge Perry on our team because he has cared enough to learn these things that determine whether the drug court is effective or not. They're one of the many things that determine that, and cares enough to put those into practice. So it's not a willy-nilly thing where you just get up and kind of shoot from the hip and run it the way you would a normal court docket. It is very specialized. We go through specialized training. We go through a whole week every single year where there's breakout sessions for different team members. We went to one during the last conference that was Compassionate Jurisprudence, I believe it was called. And there was a woman there that had decades of experience as a judge over a drug court. Now she does consulting, and she talked about how important it was to be trauma informed and to understand our population of people that we're working with and how it is so very different from a regular court docket. So it's a different situation that requires a set of skills and training that's very specific.
Very good. So, and I love hearing about this, and I could just sit here and talk to you about it all day, but we're unfortunately going to run out of time here. So as we kind of wrap up, if this hasn't made you really want to know more about recovery court, then you need to go back and listen again and pay attention because this is something that is special, and it is being done very, very well here in Robertson County. And if you want to see evidence of that, then come to the graduation tomorrow. So let's kind of recap anything we've missed. I'll give all of you guys a chance to kind of close out here. You want to start?
I don't know if there's anything that we missed, but just to recap, the graduation again is tomorrow, Thursday, the 21st of April. It starts at noon. We are serving lunch. We are going to be, did I say where? No, I didn't. It is at the center in Springfield, and we are celebrating the accomplishment of 8 folks that have been in our program and have worked really hard to graduate and complete. And so we hope that as many people as want to attend and are curious and want to celebrate with these folks, come out and join us.
Outstanding. I love it. I'll be there. I'm going to take pictures again.
Are you giving your phone number or you want me to?
So
Okay. I wanted to give our information,
Okay.
and this is not only, I mean, everybody within the court who's referring people to recovery court know how to reach us, but this is also for individuals. If you've got a loved one who you think like, hey, I need to get somebody treatment. I mean, we just did this a couple weeks ago. I had somebody at the probation office, went over, was with one of the probation officers. She's not in recovery court, but we worked out treatment. We got on the phone, we called somebody, we got her into treatment. That's what we're about. Like,
Yeah.
we want to care about this community, and we want to just love folks and get them back to healthy and healing. So we're happy to talk to folks if they need to just figure out a treatment resource. So and of course if there's recovery court questions. So I wanted to give both of our phone numbers. I put my cell phone number because that's just always how I'm available, but my cell phone number is 615-957-7044, and the office number,
twice. Do the number. Do the number.
615-957-7044, and the office number where you can reach Althea or I is 615-382-6265. 615-382-6265. And so that's for anybody who's got any questions. Recovery court, treatment, you just want to chat,
you go.
meetings,
Yeah.
if you need resources for that, like anything really. If we can't find it, we'll try to point you to it.
absolutely, I love it.
Post that in the comments.
Okay, and they'll put those phone numbers up in the comments for us, and I'm just so thrilled, Judge. Any parting thoughts as we shuffle you guys out and bring Ryan in? So,
Well, I'm just honored to be able to be a part of having a recovery court to see how it has changed lives and saved lives. But I also want to say, while we're here, that this would not work without the hard work of Megan and Althea. They live this. They have the hearts for recovery, and it just wouldn't work without them.
Amen. You guys do a fabulous job. I hear so much about you around the community, and so many people bring your names up, and I mean, God bless you for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
It's making a difference. Recovery Court has and is making a difference in Robertson County. So come and see that for yourself tomorrow at noon at the center. I can't wait to join y'all for another one, and this is going to stay on my calendar. I love you guys. Thank y'all so much for
The
joining me.
next one will be in October, so I'll get you the date.
Get me the date, and I'll put it on my calendar.
We'll see you tomorrow.
So God bless you guys. I will see y'all tomorrow, and we hope to see you there at the Center for Recovery Court Graduation. You're going to want to be a part of this, and going to get some good food from Southern gals and Southern girls and Southern guys. I think I've got the name, but you got to come meet them. They're so much fun. God bless y'all. Thank y'all so much. Send Ryan on in, and while they're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and pause and talk about one of our new sponsors. I'm just so excited. We've got a couple of new sponsors. We were talking about Cumberland Connect yesterday. Well, on Wednesdays, we're going to talk about Veterans Motorplex. And talking to Jerry, I'm trying to get him in here just to talk about kind of the season and what's going on at the racetrack. And you know it as you knew it as Highland Rim for many, many years. And he has given it new breath and just new vitality. And if you've gone out there and participated in one of their race nights, you know what I'm talking about. It's just good family fun at the racetrack. And once you go, you're going to want to go again and again and again. And Jerry says the big thing that you need to tell people is to remind them it's the best Saturday night entertainment value in Middle Tennessee. And they are back for the season for 2022. And you figure that if you've got a family and you're trying to figure out something cool to do, go out to the racetrack, because for $40 you can get a family pass, and that's for 8 people. That means up to 6 kids and 2 adults. So how about that? $5 a piece. If you've got a big family, $40. You're going to come out to the racetrack, all kinds of great food out there, just wonderful family fun. And it is something that if you haven't checked out a race in a while, oh my goodness, your kids are going to love this. If you got little ones, it's just exciting. It's fun. It's fast. And you're going to have a lot of fun. But again, what Jerry says, it is the best Saturday night entertainment value in Middle Tennessee. $40 for a family of 8, 2 adults, 6 minor kids. That's only $5 each. You can't beat that. They're at 3183 Kelly Willis Road, 3183 Kelly Willis Road. That's in Greenbrier. If you've got questions, give them a call, and we'll get Jerry in here to go over this as soon as we can get his schedule in line with ours. But his number is 615-430-3135, 615-430-3135. Veterans Motorplex, formerly Highland Rim. You know it. Go and check them out, and always tell them that U-Turn sent you. We'll be back right after this. We need to re-elect our judge, Judge Joel Perry, on May 5th. 3rd. He has worked to keep our community safe for the last 25 years, first as assistant district attorney and then for the last 7 years as general sessions judge. Joel was instrumental in establishing the Recovery Court, which has given many the opportunity to turn their lives around and lead a successful drug and alcohol-free life. Joel is also fiscally responsible. So far, he has returned over $500,000 to the county from the court's budget. He adopted a docketing system that reduces the amount of time officers spend in court, saving thousands of dollars in department overtime. Joel understands that the court's job is to keep our community safe and to hold those who are found guilty accountable for their actions. At the same time, he recognizes that the court can help redirect an individual's path in life, thus strengthening families and making Robertson County a better place to live, to work, and to raise a family. Join me in re-electing our judge, Judge Joel Perry, May 3rd. Early voting, April 13th through April 28th. For more information, visit joelforjudge.com. Paid for by Joel for Judge, Irvin Brown, Treasurer. And we're going to move on to our next guest. We got Ron Martin in the house. And I just love that I don't even have to call and remind you. You just have it on your calendar and you just get it done and come on in. And appreciate that very much.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you for having us. It's
always.
You know how we feel about community engagement and getting our message out and making sure that the citizens know what's going on with their city government. So we appreciate you giving us the platform to do so.
Absolutely. We had a great visit from Police Chief Jason Head the other day, and just appreciate so much all y'all do. And I think, I said I had some questions for you. I think the Friday night markets and stuff that we were talking about, that may have been, just kind of looking at that and how that's going, and it may have been a question associated with that. I can't remember, but you had the mayor and alderman meeting last night, and I'm sure did y'all have a busy meeting,
We
full
did.
meeting? I know it's kind of budget time, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Well, we're not quite. We didn't consider the budget last night, but so internally it's budget time, and then we'll have the budget delivered. We should have it to the Board of Mayor and Alderman by next week, and then we begin the work session and the consideration of all of that. But last night's meeting was just full of business. We had an over 2-hour meeting last night.
Wow.
And so it was quite an eventful meeting, but a couple of announcements up front. We did make the announcement yesterday, I believe went public, that Freedom Fest is going to be Sunday, July 3rd, our big 4th of July celebration. It'll be at the Robertson County Fairgrounds again, and the Oak Ridge Boys are going to be the headliner.
No!
So
That's so exciting.
That's presented by Grace Baptist Church. They're our
that's
primary
fun.
sponsor on that and presenting sponsor for all the entertainment. They do
Nice.
the stage and music. And so there'll be a good lineup of music for that evening, but the Oak Ridge Boys are going to be the headliner. So we're excited
Nice.
about that.
I'll
And
be
of course-
back. I get back from Mexico the day before. So
Oh, good.
Yeah, because I'm on my mission trip just before that. So I will be back. So
Good.
I'm excited.
You
Yay.
Come see the Oak Ridge Boys
Yeah.
and fireworks. We're thankful that North Springfield Baptist, of course, the Roberts County Fair Association is helping their sponsorship with that event by allowing us to use the fairgrounds. And North Springfield Baptist has come alongside us as a sponsor, allowing us to shoot the fireworks. So we'll be shooting
Okay.
fireworks from North Springfield Baptist this year out behind their church. So it'll be a good vantage point from the fairgrounds, from the arena. And so we're gonna pray for good weather and a good time.
Oh, that's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Oh, Oak Ridge Boys, I love it. That's fabulous. I had not heard that. I've been busy. So, but anyway, that's wonderful. So that's been announced, and that's going to be great. So,
Yeah.
what else have you guys got going on? I'm
Well-
going to try to shut up and let you just talk.
No,
'cause
that's
I know
fine.
you got a lot to cover.
We have this Saturday, of course. It's that time of year when kind of trash and things
Maybe
get
that
scattered.
was it, the cleanup thing.
And
Yeah,
so the
okay.
spring community cleanup is this Saturday from 9 a.m. until noon. We have right now, we're blown away, 180 volunteers signed up for that. And so last year we were right around 100, not quite 100. It was the first year to really do an organized cleanup from our standpoint, and this year it's doubled. And so we're really grateful that the community cares about that. They want to see this place cleaned up and picked up, and so people have come alongside us. TVA, we're thankful for their sponsorship in that. We couldn't do anything. You hear it if you have Terry Martin on, I know. We don't do anything without help. We don't do anything without community support, without sponsors and people that come alongside us and really help make things possible for us to do. So TVA is providing the vests, the bags, the stuff to be picked up. or the supplies, water for the volunteers, and then Larry's Restaurant has sponsored the breakfast for the event. So Larry's is providing breakfast for those that will have a biscuit for everybody that wants that's coming.
Pretty awesome.
You can still sign up, even though it's, if you want to call the Public Works Department, if you just say, man, I want to get in on that, then call our Public Works Department and they'll get you squared away. We'll still take volunteers. We're not going to turn anyone away. So it's really simple. The coolest thing about it is you're not responsible for the trash. All you have to do when you fill up a bag of trash is just leave it sitting on the side of the road, because our public works crews are constantly running each route where we assign volunteers, and they're going to pick up those bags. So that's easy for the volunteers. It's very easy for everybody to participate. I do want to make mention for anyone traveling Fifth Avenue at night, our sewer rehabilitation work is continuing, and so we're in the middle of crossing Fifth Avenue with that new collection line, and so there will be some traffic issues on Fifth Avenue around the middle school nightly until that work is done, probably in the next week or two. So, but as far as the meeting last night, we had a pretty big meeting. We continue with growth. Laverne, we've talked about growth just constantly over and over again. And so we finalized the annexation last night for what we call Blackwood North. Roger Blackwood sold both sides of Blackwood Drive, his property, and we did Blackwood South a few months ago, and now we've done Blackwood North, which is another 78 townhomes and 130 single-family residences on that side, in addition to the couple hundred that are going to be on the south side. And so that was finalized last night. And so that's another one that's going to get going. We're up to about 3,300 new residential units that are either in the approval process or have been approved.
That's crazy.
Just in the city limits.
Yeah.
Just in the city limits. So on top of that, one of the things that we've undertaken as a city over the last year is to study how the growth can pay for itself. Because, one of the fundamental things that we hear, and it's true, as far as equity and not being fair, is why should you and me, who live here, have to pay for the new fire station that only has to be built because of all the growth? Why should you and me, who've lived here for a long time, have to pay to hire new police officers because a bunch of people decided to move here, right? Why should you and me have to pay for this new segment of wastewater line or a new street maintenance that just because a bunch of people decided to move here? So the idea is to let the growth pay for itself. So last year we commissioned a consultant to study a system development fee, and so it's another word for that is impact fees. We don't use that because that's a cuss word in modern day lingo, but impact fees. We are one of the only cities besides Murfreesboro, really, and Murfreesboro is kind of ahead of us in this, I think, in adopting them, that do not have impact fees. We don't have a mechanism. So another way to say that is we don't have a mechanism to let the growth pay for itself. So when all those people move in here, the people that have lived here forever are the ones that pick up the tab for the extra maintenance, for the extra, by way of our property taxes, by way of our sales tax, by way of our water and wastewater rates. So the idea is that you create this mechanism where on each new home, there's a fee for each service that the developer, the builder, would pay in order to get that permit, the building permit to build the new house, which will go into a fund to help maintain that system.
Gotcha.
So parks, fire, police, water and wastewater are the things that we were looking at to help the growth kind of pay for itself.
Gotcha.
And not put that burden on the backs of the taxpayers and the ratepayers that have lived here all along that, quite frankly, can make a really good argument about not being their responsibility.
Well, don't we have impact fees in the county?
There are impact fees.
We do. So this will be a separate city one.
It would be.
So will they, if somebody comes in and is building in the city limits, they will have the county and the city impact fees?
I don't believe so. No, I believe it's just if you're building outside the corporate limits of the city is when you pay the county fees. And I don't believe, because when they come to us, they get a building permit for us, and they don't have to go to the county for anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting, because I thought that it would be both. Yeah.
No, you're not doubled up there, because it's our infrastructure that you're burdening, and so that's what. That's the idea there. So
very interesting.
There are so we're traveling along that path. We're probably a little late to that party and a little late to that game. especially when we're in the middle of building a $47 million wastewater treatment plant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you and I've talked about that, but that thing started out at $36 million,
Yeah.
and now it's up to $47 million, and the design hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the plant itself, as far as
Yeah.
what we're going to build, hasn't changed. That's just supply chain and economic circumstances that keep putting upward pressure on that.
And
that
full
cost
disclosure,
estimate.
that's my neighbor. I
That's
live
right.
right next to it, so I know a lot about it, and they've been a great neighbor.
That's right.
I cannot say enough about. I just awesome. So
And-
we're very thankful that it's continuing to develop and get better and better.
And it will be. It'll be even better once
Yeah.
the new plant is built, and that's something that'll double the capacity. But it's also something I don't want people to think that, well, we're having to build a new wastewater treatment plant because of all these people moving here. That's not entirely accurate. Our wastewater treatment plant's about 37,
Yeah, it was
38
time.
years old.
It was time.
And the life of a plant's about 40 years. And so we need to, so what we're taking that opportunity to do is increase the capacity, obviously, to accommodate the growth, but also, concrete that breaks down and equipment breaks down, and it's time to replace it.
It's so interesting because when I first moved here, I've been here right at 30 years, and when I first moved here, it was still relatively new, and it was state of the art,
Yeah.
and that's because I almost didn't move next to it because I was like, I don't know if I want to, and I checked into it. It was state of the art, and it's been a good neighbor. It has been just a really good neighbor, and so now we're into developing it again. I feel like I found the gem property right there,
Yeah.
really, because it's been a good it's been a
Thank
good
you.
neighbor, and I appreciate it very much. And I just
appreciate
say that to encourage my neighbors too. I've got some new folks that moved in that are a little curious about it, and I'm like, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
And so the neighborhood appreciates you.
Thank you.
Thank
And it'll get better. Of course, when we build the new plant, there will be no need for land spreading anymore.
Yeah.
So we'll even reduce our footprint, reduce the it'll just be good to kind of modernize and get up to speed. Like you said, state of the art at the time,
Yeah.
but that's almost 40 years ago now,
Yeah.
and so a lot of processes have changed since then, and it's time for us to go ahead and
It's
and move
exciting,
forward.
but it is expensive.
It is
So there you go,
extremely
back to the
expensive.
impact fees and things, and I'll let you get back on track. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's painfully expensive. So the board heard the presentation from the consultant last night, and so we will be bringing back next month an ordinance to consider for the board to look at a set of fees to adopt that help pay for this growth.
Very good.
And that will not burden current residents. These fees will only be paid, and so some people make the argument and say, well, that'll just stifle development. That will just people won't build here anymore if they and builders will go somewhere else. Well, we know by way of research, we know by way of looking around Middle Tennessee that that's not the case. We had a stakeholder meeting where we had our local builders in the room, and we were talking about this and said, hey, what do you think? Because we want to know. Same reason I was saying we want to come on this show, because we want to hear from folks. This is you're who we work for, and we want to know if what we're doing is what you want us to do. And so the builder said, just tell me what the number is. I'm going to tack it onto the price of the house. So the notion that the builders are going to lose out or lose money or something like that they made that clear to us that that's not the case. So so that's something that we'll be looking forward to and maybe have adopted in the next couple of months to help the growth again pay for itself and take that burden off of our residents, our long-term residents that already have enough of the burden of cost share for city government operations, right? So that's just a fairness mechanism. We also agreed to a proposal last night for a facility study. We are in desperate need of facilities. I mean, our water wastewater department building is not in very good shape, and City Hall is old. And so we need to develop a plan of how we're going to tackle that in the next 5, 10, 15 years, and instead of just kind of willy-nilly,
Pushing it.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we need to have a plan, and so we have a consultant that we've hired the board approved an agreement last night to hire a consultant to look at facilities and see how those are how that plan needs to happen with the growth that we're facing, and making sure, because when you have new development, you have, like I said, a new fire station or new firefighters, you have new police officers that you have to bring on staff to handle the increase in call volume. You have to have more road crew people because there's more lane miles and streets to maintain. More sanitation crew workers because there's more carts to collect. And so it ends up, there's just this domino effect, and that's why we want the growth to pay for itself, but that requires more facilities too. I mean, a larger police department, we've got to bring on more code staff because there's more, inspections to do and more. And we're going to probably be doing that in this next budget, bringing on at least one additional inspector, because what the issue we're having now in the codes department is they're responsible for two things. They're responsible primarily for property maintenance enforcement, as well as new residential and commercial inspections. Okay, so if we're getting inundated with new residential builds and inspections that they're having to do, that's less property maintenance they can do. So that means that people have the junk car in the yard, and so those complaints that we get kind of pile up, and it takes a little bit, and so we've just got to have more manpower and resources, and that's just one of those unfortunate things about growth.
Let's pause a second. Let me
Sure.
do, because I've got a couple ads I got to get in here.
Sure.
Talking with Ron Martin, city manager, and anything that you need to know about what's going on in the city. He is your guy, and the door is always open. So easy to get in touch with. So I just really encourage you to reach out to him if you have any questions about what you hear or anything that maybe we don't address. But I want to pause and mention Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Store. It is not too early to start thinking about Mother's Day. You wonder what to get mom. Go and talk to them at Corbin. That's a kind of a go-to for me. I love going and getting something that I can plant for my mom that is going to be there for years to come, or maybe just a beautiful flowering basket. Sometimes, because you have people, you just don't know what to get them, that can always brighten up their day, and they're absolutely beautiful. The Corbin's known for them. One of the things that they always bring out to farmers markets, which will be starting up here very, very soon, they'll bring out the flower trailer with all those beautiful hanging baskets. And so if you're wondering what to give somebody, especially with Mother's Day, just right really around the corner, keep Corbin in mind. They are a great gift and gardening store. They can talk to you about anything you need for your lawn, your garden, and talk to you about CBD products. My daughter-in-law's dad was reaching out to me yesterday from Kansas, wanting to know about the CBD products that I swear by. And you know they do ship. I didn't know that. And so we're looking into that for him. But if you've got questions about CBD products and how they'll help you, go and talk to Miss Jane, go and talk to Miss Amy about that, because they have really become so knowledgeable, and it's natural, and it's a Robertson County product, and it can really help you. It's helped me tremendously. They're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5, Sunday from 1 to 5. Give them a call at 615-384-3185, 615-384-3185 at 4920 Highway 161. When you go by, I always tell them U-turn sent you. Ron Martin's in the house. We're going to get right back to it. I know you got a lot to cover. You had a long meeting. What do we want to talk about next?
So we also approved last night a ratification to our charter. So the charter is the incorporating document of city government, if you will. It establishes what the powers of city government are, and we're unique, and I won't get into much of the details because people are probably waking up and they don't want to be put right back to sleep, but we have a private act charter, which means there's a separate state law that privately only applies to the city of Springfield.
Okay.
There's also general law, which is in public acts, what they call public acts, that apply to all cities, but since we have a separate private act charter, those things don't apply to us. So that's just a setup to say that we were behind on a couple of things. For instance, our ordinances that we pass required 3 readings. So in 3 separate months, we would have to vote on those 3 separate times, which in a fast-paced environment like the one we're in now, where time is money to just about everyone, delaying that 3rd month when the general law in most cities only have to do 2 is a disadvantage, right? And it's a disadvantage to a lot of folks. And so we're one of the last cities in the state of Tennessee, I believe, based on our research, that still did 3 readings. So that was one change we wanted to make. The second change we wanted to make is with regard to competitive bid thresholds. Ours was still at $10,000, which means any purchase over $10,000, we would have to go through the legal process of a competitive sealed bid, which is, for those that aren't aware, that is very lengthy. It's a great process, don't get me wrong, because it makes sure for equal access and transparency. The issue is that $10,000 number was set 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was when, a new vehicle cost a little more than that, right?
Right.
And so, when you had a large purchase, $10,000 was a large purchase. In today's environment, I mean,
That's nothing.
$10,000, we can't get a mower for the parks department for less than $10,000, right? If
Right.
a commercial mower that we need to mow certain ball fields or for the golf course or something like that. So you run into issues on equipment. So it in this environment that we're living in now, where supply chain, we had a tractor that the board approved last night for the golf course that, if we didn't buy that tractor that day, they were going to sell it to someone else.
You bet.
And then it was 6 to 12 months lead time to get another one. And so we're in a just cutthroat environment right now. So we've got to be a little bit more nimble. Government isn't known for being nimble. That's not our. I tell people all the time, that's not our strength. We move slow, but there are things that we can control and we can try to change to help make government more efficient. And so that was one of the things we did last night. So we'll be a little bit more efficient and a little bit more nimble than we were.
And what is the threshold now?
25,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that matches up with the state law. The state
Right.
legislature changed that probably 3 or 4 years ago for all cities under a general law charter to $25,000.
Okay.
And so that's so we're changing ours to 25,000, and we're thankful for Senator Roberts and Representative Kumar because they carried that legislation for us at the General Assembly and got that done for us.
Wonderful.
Good news, gas and electric rates will go down this month.
wonderful.
Most everybody knows that we do monthly adjustments to those based on their called fuel cost adjustments or purchase gas adjustments. And that's based on the monthly adjustment that needs to be made based on the market. And because we have to buy electricity and sell it, and we purchase electricity from TVA and then send that along to this building and other places in the city. Same thing with natural gas. We have to buy natural gas off the market in order to sell it. And it's different from water because water, we do buy wholesale water. We have a secondary water supply source from Logan Todd Regional Water Commission, but we have a water treatment plant. So we pull water out of the river and treat it and basically create the water. We don't do that with gas and electric. With gas and electric, we have to purchase that wholesale and then pass it along and distribute it. So those two are a little bit different than our other utilities that we're involved in. But rates will go down. This is the time of year when that normally happens. We see a boost in the wintertime, rates go up, costs go up. But springtime, we usually see a little bit of a decrease. So that might be some good news to pass
Very
along
good.
in an economy where there isn't much good news right now. The board also discussed the possibility of looking at a one-day food truck permit. The board recently overhauled our food truck regulations because of some competitive disadvantages that were taking place, and so we overhauled that, increased the permit fee, but that created an issue for some of the regional food trucks, regional premier food trucks, if you will, that some of our businesses like to host. They couldn't see the value in paying $250 to come up here for one afternoon.
Gotcha.
And so one of our board members had requested that be on the agenda. There was a good, healthy discussion on that, and we should have something, I think, knocked out on that maybe in the next couple of months to make that available, because we don't want to lose out on some of those regional food trucks. We love
You
our
bet.
local food trucks. We have some great local food trucks that we love and appreciate, but for businesses that want to bring in some of those regionals
Like
that
the
won't be here all
lobster
the
truck.
time, like
Yeah.
the lobster truck. That's right. Cousins Made
That's
Lobster.
that's a very popular one.
And
Yeah.
and the grilled cheesery is another one. So,
Yeah.
So those
So.
are two regional ones that kind of came to mind. So that's kind of a synopsis of what we discussed without getting into some of the weeds. There were some the airport budget was another thing that came up last night. The airport board is required by April 1st of each year to submit their budget to the city and the county. Everybody may know, or maybe they don't know, that the airport is jointly owned by the city and the county. So they approved that budget last night. The airport is doing very well. There's been some I just hired a new airport manager. So if people haven't visited that terminal, they really need to. I mean, if people haven't been to that airport terminal to see how beautiful it is and how much air traffic is actually going on out there, how much activity. There's a flight school out there, a couple of different businesses. It's phenomenal, and you should just walk in, check it out. You can go out there, you can watch some planes take off and land, and entertain yourself for an hour or so.
You just set me up for a great teaser here. My friend Jean Holt is now on the airport
right.
board, and she's going to be our guest Tuesday next week on
That's
Tuesday
great.
at 7:30. She would not come in at 7. I had an opening. I told her she should come in today or something. She was, but nonetheless, I like to tease her because she's like, no, 7:30, Laverne, 7:30. So we got Gina coming in next
Great.
week, Tuesday, and going to talk about the airport because I'm fascinated about it. I finally went and visited when they had their big festival out there.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's so cool. I want
awesome.
a plane so I can go
Yeah.
fly. I'm not going to be flying anytime soon, but it is cool and it is just fascinating. Some of the things we have here in Roberts County, and that's a jewel.
It is.
It
It
is
really
a
is.
jewel. I mean, and it's one of the things that's bringing people here. Is
It is.
because we have that airport.
I've met
Don't you
a
think?
couple.
Yeah.
That's true. We were out there for our strategic planning, and I met a couple that had flown in, and they just moved here from San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I said, because I like to ask this question, I said, "How in the world did you end up in Springfield?" They said, "The airport."
Yep.
They said we wanted to move to the Nashville area. We looked at other places. We looked at there was a small airport outside of Nashville that they looked at. And so we really didn't like the feel. So we came up here because they have a plane, they fly, they wanted a hangar, and they said, we loved this place. And so the airport is literally what caused them to move to Springfield.
Yeah,
It's
I've
incredible.
heard that more
Yeah,
than once.
yeah.
More than once. It's very cool. Let's pause. Let me take my last break here, and then we'll come back and let you kind of look at your notes and see what we need to do to wrap up here. Visiting with our city manager, Ron Martin, and just wealth of information. If you missed the meeting, you can watch it online. Maybe we'll touch on that in just a minute. But we do need to mention Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. My friends, love these guys. I met them first time at the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival. Mentioning it a lot right now because it's coming up third weekend in May. We want you to be sure and be there out at Kilgore Park up in Cross Plains. But that's where I met them. Barry is on the board that brings that to us, and Rebecca's always been a sponsor. Now they work together in real estate. He was a marketer for many, many years in Nashville, vice president of a marketing company, went full time with real estate a while back, and they're just an awesome team. If you've got property, buying or selling, whatever you're wanting to do, you need a team right now, especially navigating the crazy waters that is the real estate market right now. And in Robertson County, you need somebody that knows the county, and they do. They're one of us. They've been in Cross Plains for over 20 years. Barry is a Zillow certified photographer, licensed and insured drone pilot, does the 360-degree walkthrough tours that are so cool. Rebecca, one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist. She stays up to date on what's the latest news that you need to know to make sure you're properly represented. If you want to get in touch with them, it's very easy. Go to sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or you can see their specialty listings at robertsoncounty.com, and you'll see that while they do buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line up in Kentucky, they're Robertson County experts. Talk to them today, sellwithbecky.com, and be sure and tell them U-Turn sent you. Ron Martin's in the house, our city manager. What are we missing, my friend?
Invite everybody to First Friday Night Market. We get back to that. So excited to have everybody back and gathered and on the square. We have the Fortunate Sons playing. That's right. There's
Make
the
sure I have
poster.
it upside down.
Fortunate Sons will be the concert this time, and the market. We're thankful for Historic Springfield event coordinators. Like I told you, we don't do anything alone. We can't pull off anything alone, and so we have a great partner in Historic Springfield event coordinators that do the market, and we bring along the Sunset Concert Series with that, and they have a lot of good sponsors and people that pitch in and help out, and that's just a great community event. And so, the Fortunate Sons, that's Friday, May 6th, first Friday of May. It's
I was talking to Police Chief Jason Head about this and talking about their planning and all that goes in. Like, it is a team. You got law enforcement coming in to just make it beautiful and wonderful. I mean, you all come together, and it's just a great time.
That's right.
So be there. Anything else we're missing, my
That's
friend?
it. Visit us on our website, springfieldtn.gov. We've got everything that you need there. Give us a call. Follow us on social media. That's where we put out, the bulk of our information, and we want to know. We want you to know what's going on.
Absolutely. And there's a lot. Good Morning Robertson County is tomorrow morning too. We've got the recovery court graduation tomorrow at noon. We've got the trash auction at F&M Bank tomorrow between 4 and 5, and then the Reagan Day dinner is at the center tomorrow night. It's a busy day tomorrow, y'all, and we'll be going over that again, and I'm sure Lee Marie is coming up right after us here to take care of everything with the Go Show. But this has been the One Street Over from 1100 WSGI. Have a fabulous day. God bless. Do you stop for the school bus? Most would say absolutely. But did you know that if you encounter a bus on a multi-lane highway with 5 or 6 lanes and there's no barrier or grassy median, then both directions of traffic are required to stop. That means Highway 41, locally known as Memorial Boulevard, and Highway 431, better known as Tom Austin Highway, require traffic in both directions to stop when a bus is loading and unloading passengers. When you see a bus or a school zone, slow down. Pay attention. If the lights are flashing, watch for direction from the bus drivers and crossing guards. Our most precious treasures are